In this video, we will explain how to close an activity in the Unified Medical File. It is important also to mention that closing an activity is an important task of the physician for two reasons. The first one, closing the activity is step controlling in the sense that if it is not done properly and in the right time, the physician will not be able to create other activities for the patient to input his findings. Also, closing the activity integrates physicians' input across the boards, and the input of one physician becomes visible to the others. This is because closing the activity permits the system to update the plans and orders for the patient, to update the patient's current problems, and to update the patient's diagnosis. Let us see now how we can close an activity that is in progress. The first thing we need to know that the activity can be only closed by the provider who has created it. And in order to close an activity, the imperative forms of the activity must have been locked. We can know if the form has been locked by seeing the lock icon next to the form that has a red asterisk. If the form has a red asterisk next to it and it is not locked, this means that this button will not be visible, such as in this case. Here we see that this is an imperative form because it has the red asterisk, but it is still in edit, so we cannot lock this activity. This activity, on the other hand, shows that it has two imperative forms and they have both been locked, and that's why we see the close activity button. Now, if we click on this button, we will see that we will have a dialog popping up and showing us what are the current problems that the patient has registered in the system. So this patient has a problem of frontal headache, and we can either check here that it is resolved and subsequently it will be removed from the system, or we can enter a new problem. For example, we can say that she has varicose veins of the right leg, and then we click plus, and then here we have to enter our PIN code in order to enter the problem in the system. After we update the residual problems, we will notice that we will have another form to complete the closing of the activity. In this form, we can see that there is a title for the form, and we can see that there is a chief complaint, and if we made a mistake, for example, here we put pain in the legs more on the left and the patient's complaint is on the right, we can here correct it and we can put on the right leg. Now we see that the diagnosis is there, the activity code is there, and if we want to change anything, for example, if we want to change the facility where the activity has happened, we can click here and change it, and we can click and change any of the elements that are constituting the attributes of the activity. Also, we notice that there are three links here. One of them is to add a new plans or orders. For example, we can add an order to prescribe stockings for the patient. Prescribe stocking, class 1. And we can here click to raise a bill, and when we raise a bill we can specify, for example, how much money we expect to receive from a patient, and subsequently this will be used by our associates to generate a bill for that person or for the hospital. And if the insurance is involved, we can see here the insurance of the patient. And in this case, this patient is a self-pay patient. So we have already charged the patient in the patient section, so no need, and then we will save this. We can also send this activity report to the facility that is mentioned here. If we have an email for that facility, we can send the report to any email we want, or we can make a JSON, which is a standardized computer messaging language ready for upload to another computer system. So we enter our PIN code, and in this case we will be only prescribing the stockings because we did not check any of these boxes. And I will enter my PIN code and I will save and log the activity. Once we click save and log, the system will be now processing what we have requested already. And we can now see that the problems that we have entered are now visible, and we can see that we have the varicose veins of the right leg, and we still have the frontal headache because we did not remove it from the list. And if we check the plans and orders, we can see also that we have already prescribed stocking class 1, which is an order that will be later processed by our associate staff.